All right.
Alrighty.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday, everyone.
We're both in the warehouse today. And
Drinking out.
yeah, drinking some crisp pills from Jasper Brewing.
Yep.
Kind of a special edition of Japanese Knife 101. We were doing a bit of video shooting in the warehouse. We got our one of our video studios here, making some good sharpening videos for y'all with Naoto, and we're gonna sharpen some axes.
Awesome. So we're not going to be on the same frame at the same time, except probably a few occasions. And when we do, we'll have this little bit of distance and mask on.
Or we'll have a beer can in front of our mouth to keep us protected.
There you go. But happy Friday, everyone. So yeah, as Nathan said, we're going to cover some axe sharpening, slightly different sharpening process than the other knives, but essentially it's the same sharp object, right? But because of the process and because of the purpose, it's quite a bit different from the kitchen knives. It will be sharpened slightly differently. So we're gonna go over that today. I don't know if you've noticed, for those of you who watch every week, you may have noticed that the picture quality and sound quality hopefully have improved quite a bit. We have, as you can see here, is that the proper microphone there. Naoto
was singing into it earlier. You guys missed some beautiful vocals.
Because having something like this is really good. And there's some webcams that actually has a little bit more higher resolution and better quality than the camera in the Mac. So
much better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, let us know what you guys think of the picture and the sound. This week we've equipped everybody with new webcams and mics. So Kevin, Chris, Naoto, even myself will have new cams and mics. The Vancouver guys are going to get some next week as well. So video and audio quality is going to be at a higher bar, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about a lot of the same, sharpening principles that we usually talk about. Edge geometry and polish on the bevel. The kind of grits we're using, but just blades for a different purpose, right?
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, I don't know which one we should go with, but like every show, if you have any questions, just leave the comment. Just leave it in the comment section. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Grant Hendrick, thanks for tuning in. Grant says video looks great and happy Friday. Yeah, happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope to see all the regulars and maybe even some new folks. Craig's Kitchen Rock says, yep, noticing the higher quality. Well, I'm glad to hear it, guys, especially on that B camera. Naoto's been using his phone for the last while. Now we've got a couple of Logitech cameras for both cams. So hopefully much higher quality video. You'll be able to see what we're doing a lot more easily. Well, which one of us should start? We should probably do a really basic axe to get started, and then maybe work into some more advanced kind of. We got one that got chipped. We can repair that. We can do a straight grind.
Yeah, that's a few techniques, and we can probably start talking about the way in which that the people can actually do at home, because that's what people will do, right? So let's start from the general geometry of the axe as well. As you can see on the second camera, probably axe is like this, a lot thicker, and it's got the edge. It's got really nice taper. This one is not a hot force. It's a
Wetterling.
It's a Wetterling.
Similar, but it's a brand that's not around anymore.
Yeah, it's still same kind of Scandinavian axe. They are really the Scandinavians are really famous and well known for their axe making. Forestry industry there is superb. It's fantastic. So they've developed the axe very, very nicely. This edge is made with this. Some call it the Scandi grind. So basically, this is whole bevel and doesn't have any micro bevel to it. It's just like taper goes all the way from the both ends and meets at the spot.
And we do have the one I have is more of a true Scandi grind. Usually when people say Scandi grind, it's more of that sort of V-shape edge, kind of like, kind of like that. Whereas a lot of axes have a little more of that kind of curved taper, that kind of convex edge, like the what you're talking about in your Deba video,
Yeah.
as opposed to more of that like Takeda edge.
I think what I mean is that there's no like last micro bevel.
Right.
Yeah, so that just the two of the sides just meets at the one spot.
Yeah, pretty much just one primary bevel.
Yeah.
That's it.
For those of you who wants to sharpen an axe and you do a little bit of maintenance at home, really handy things to have is the one of those stones that looks like a puck, or something like we just brought them in, like some handy stones like these guys. So basically, what you do is the lay that whatchamacallit, the axe flat. These guys are whetstone water stones, so I'm just gonna wet them a little bit and just follow them like this. This is probably the easiest and what the most people do. It's like a Takeda-san does for their his knives as well. It can be like this, or you can use. This is one of the newer stone that we got. It's the from Suehiro. Suehiro is really famous maker for the sharpening stones. They make this, which is really, really good. It's got that little bit of wedge shape, so you could actually even use this narrow side to do a serrated part. Handy little tool, and you can actually bring it to your. It comes in actually plastic case, so you can bring it to your outdoor occasions and do a little bit of sharpening on that. You can have it on your hand, and like this. And ultimately, it's the same thing. You do the bevel, and you just do it until you raise the one bar, and flip it, and you do the other side. Nathan?
I was just going to show off that stone. We just got these brand new ones. I think they're listed. Are they on the Knifewear website or Kent of Inglewood website? Both. On both. But yeah, from Suehiro. They're little guys, and they're a little pricey for a small stone at first, but they're really, really, really hard, which I find really nice when you're sharpening an axe. Like, we have these Hultifor stones, and they're great, but if you're more of an experienced sharpener or you do a lot of sharpening, these guys can be a little soft, and they can wear it. Like the one we use in the store at Kent of Inglewood is really worn down really quickly, and these guys are really nice and dense, I find. And I'm excited to use one.
It's actually about the same. It is like smaller, but about the same price as the Hultifors. Like Hultifors are $70-something, where the Suehiro is like $70, like $80 for 1,000 grit. So
we got just James Wang tuned in. Said, "Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you, James. Hope you're doing well." Fighting Usyk says, "Whoa, simul screen." Yeah, Usyk. I don't know if you caught the very beginning, but we've now got a fancy microphone.
Yeah.
Right here. We're also in the same space today. We're shooting some sharpening videos. In a few weeks, we'll have a how to sharpen your knives, or sorry, how to straighten a bent knife video that we shot with Naoto today.
Yeah.
But we've also got 2 new Logitech webcams, so hopefully you guys have noticed an increase in the quality of video.
Yeah.
And then Corey Phillips says, "Are you taking general questions? Don't want to detract from the conversation."
Yeah. Any questions? The general question, whatever you have, doesn't have to be an axe, doesn't have to be a like axe sharpening. Today's topic. I just keep sharpening. This is the way that you could do at home. It's pretty easy, straightforward. You could even have that if you have the broken down stones like these guys, you could definitely use that as well. Those guys that designed for the outdoors, it comes super handy because it is designed to actually carry around. This Hultifor's axe stone is a double-sided. Comes with that. It comes in a leather package, so you can just throw in your backpack. So that's something really, really nice. But different axes have different purposes and different, thickness and how it's sharpened. I personally don't do much like backpacking. Like I do general car camping and bring my axes and do the firewoods and stuff like that. But for that purpose, I don't need that heavy maul, right?
Right. You're not splitting whole trees.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't have any like splitting axes here, but I brought a few. We've got like, this is a sample kind of Japanese hatchet that Naoto brought in, just kind of like product testing for us. You notice how it has a very, very thin edge, whereas the forest axe that Naoto's sharpening, more of a multi-purpose kind of blade, much thicker, more of that kind of, like this guy has a bit of almost concave in here. This guy's much more robust. So it's going to be able to take more abuse, and it's going to be really good if you're doing a bit of splitting and a bit of felling and a bit of limbing and just like kind of a bit of everything. It's not going to do one job really, really well, but it's going to do a bunch of jobs pretty okay. And then we've got this guy too. This is pretty similar to my forest axe, but that's like a backpacking axe. It's a shorter handle, around 20 inches, I think, maybe a bit longer. But you'll notice again, like much more robust because you want this guy to hold up through backpacking and like a wider range of activities. This thin one is really nice for woodwork. I've been carving a lot of spoons at home and doing a lot of rough work with this guy in order to test it out, and it's been really, really great for that. So yeah, you kind of sharpen your axe depending on the purpose you're going to be doing with it.
Well, Black Mike is asking that what grit I was using for a sharpening that one. So we've got the two different grits, 300 and the 1000. Both are great to carry around. 300 is probably much more versatile as a,
yeah,
it just puts the quick edge.
Oh yeah, it's got like a decent burr on it already. And this guy wasn't super, super dull, but it also wasn't in great shape. I didn't sharpen it at the end of the camping season last year, so it needed a little bit of work. Yeah. Well, do you want to keep at it now, Tal? We can switch off. I'll sharpen a different one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Blank. That was the stone we were using yesterday, and sorry, that was the one that the guys were talking about yesterday. So if you caught last night's sharpening class, Owen and Francis were talking about that stone, and I'm pretty excited to be using it. It's got a really nice kind of feel to it. I find those curved stones can be a little awkward sometimes, so having something a little smaller is quite nice.
Since I've started, I'm the one who started it, I can do a little bit of wheel action on this guy here. As some of you may be able to see, it's got tiny nick on the blade right here. Can you see it on the camera?
You can't really see it. Do you want to point it out for us?
Like right.
Or you could even, if you want to go on the wheel, this guy's got a worse chip in it.
Oh, here.
This guy. That guy.
Oh, here you go.
My beautiful spouse was digging out a fire pit last summer, and there was a root in the way, and I thought they would know better than to use my good axe for cutting at the root, but unfortunately it got a little bit dinged up. Might not have been them. It might have been my one of our friends that was helping us dig out the fire pit. But that one got a bit of a chip just from hitting the ground.
Yeah. So it's got the So this got really nice convex grind from both sides. I am not going to thin them, but in order to get this chip out and sharpen them properly, what I have to do is actually set the angle at the edge part. Then I will grind it down to, gonna grind it down to here. Oftentimes, a lot of people, when they sharpen the axis, they just sharpen this edge. Yep. But when you keep sharpening the edge, it's the same problem can happen with the kitchen knives, right? You just make it too thick, it almost like makes it more like a mallet feel, like edge, boom, right? Yeah. And when you want to have them, like these axes are designed to do it, like you use them for carpentry tool, like you have them like here, and you can do that.
Yeah, make feather sticks.
Yeah, feather sticks and stuff like that, and you don't want to just have them super thick edge on it. So what I would usually do is actually you can use one of those things that's hitting here, or I'm so used to using those guys. So it is pretty awkward. And for those of you who does have the well, those of you who has a who has belt sander, you could definitely use it as well. we have used the bell sanders at our Kent of Inglewood as well. You have to be again careful. These knives are tempered, forged and tempered at a temperature that's that's like 180 degrees to 200 degrees. It can be reached pretty easy when you actually have that super fast belt grinder goes into it, so it can make it pretty soft. Although a little bit of softness on the axes are fine.
Yeah, hardness. I mean, axes are almost never hardened the same way like a Japanese kitchen knife is. Some of them are, like for carpentry and really specific purposes where the durability isn't as important. And we'll talk more about durability later, but it doesn't matter as much. The shape of the axe is the most important part, and that's really what you're going to be focusing on. Naoto's got a really good point there. When you sharpen an axe, you generally want to sharpen an axe like you're hot rodding a knife. So as Naoto's saying there, you're not just sharpening the edge, you're sharpening this whole polished bevel, and you're trying to bring this whole section back gradually and keep the original shape that you were, that you had when you started with the axe.
This camera probably shows it pretty well. I don't know how well it is. I just grind at about millimeters off from the edge here. Right here.
Yeah.
So that the chip is gone, but while maintaining the same profile of it. Most people stops right here. It's sharp. There's no chip. I sharpen them to that really quite fat grind, so it's going to work well as well. But again, there's still a small chip. But this is what most people do, and this is fine for most. When we do sharpening, though, we want to take it a little bit more advanced and,
We want to do the best job we can, right?
Exactly.
Like, anytime we sharpen a blade, anytime we sharpen a blade at Knifewear, we're thinking about the end user and how they're going to be using their tool. So with an axe, I mean, you want to create an edge that's strong, but still is going to cut nice and smoothly, especially in this situation where we're dealing with more of a sort of semi-carving, semi-splitting axe. You want to keep enough thinness to the edge that it's going to do those finer cuts a little more effortlessly than a standard axe would.
Yeah. So I started out from here. You can see about 2 millimeters, the grinding mark there. You see them there?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I will do is it's same as when I'm sharpening a convex grind. You set the angle at the very bottom, at the very edge, then I will bring that bevel up a little bit. Gradually. So the checking is really important.
Oh no, if you just want to watch the feed.
So, as you can see, the grind has gone up quite a bit, right? But as you could actually see on this camera, or this camera there, I wasn't sweeping when I'm sharpening. I was just doing it in the same angle on the same line all the time. Some people do this, what I call the sweeping action, to make the convex edge. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. A lot of people do it.
I'm glad it's not wrong, because that's usually what I do.
It's not wrong. I don't do it because the way I do can keep the angle a little bit more consistent. because when you try to bring it down from both ends, it makes it a little bit easier to keep my angle. So,
Cool. And that's more like how you do a convex edge on a depth, right?
yeah. So here, this is good illustration, I think. See how they look. This is good illustration, I think, to the how convex the edges.
Just adjust.
Bear with us with the little angle shot there.
Should I bring it down a bit?
Yeah. Hopefully you see them here. You may see the little, like, as I move my axe around, you can see the lines on those. So this is a different angle that I sharpen. So instead of I don't sweep them, right? So you see those lines. And as you can see, closer to the edge here, you can see those lines are a little bit more closer together.
Yeah, it's a narrower band.
Narrower band, yeah, where it goes a little bit wider there.
Mm-hmm.
That represents it's really the same as the like map, right? Like in the mountains.
Yeah, like
closer,
yeah.
Closer together, it's more steep. It goes like a lot more angles into it.
Cool.
So I do adjust sometimes by looking at these lines and see where I'm going to sharpen that next. This one here, I still see the clear line right above the edge, about millimeters. So I'm going to actually aim here to make it a little bit more even.
Cool. Yeah, because if you have a really aggressive angle in your bevel, it can work as a speed bump, and it can slow your axe down when you're trying to do that fine work. Even when you're splitting, it can be a problem.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah. Do you mind if we take a moment to answer some?
Yeah.
So so Blank jumped in.
Yeah.
Blank is a professional sharpener, by the way, down in Houston. So always has really insightful information, but always good questions too. I got some axes and machetes in to sharpen. What would you use for an axe in really bad condition? Like, I'm going to guess worse than that one, because comparatively that was in pretty good shape. I sometimes go to a file.
Yeah, I use this for pretty much everything. So if you have something super aggressive like bell sunders and stuff like that, I would probably use it. Bell sunder can be very good, especially when you're trying to make the convex, because some of the bell sunders, they do have quite a bit of a give to it. So when you press it down a little bit, it will actually follow the convexity of the axe. So I'll probably just gonna do like pretty high on the angle and do the repair on the chip, then put it on the belt sander.
We have like a $200 or $300 belt sander from Lee Valley.
Yeah,
I think it's like the 1x30 belts.
Yeah,
1 inch by 30 inch, and they're great. Like if I had one of those like in my garage or something, I could get a lot done with that belt sander.
Only thing you have to be careful with any belt sander is that the axe shape, if you look at here, it's quite nice convex here, but most these do have slight concave right here.
Yeah.
So when you actually press it too hard, what can happen is that it scratches here.
Yeah, I've done that lots.
Yeah, on this face.
Yeah.
As the professional, well, as the sharpeners that we get the customer's knife in and sharpen them with the, with the charge, we have to be a little bit more careful in that kind of spot because
if you're doing customer axe and you're learning to do axes on a grinder, you can always like tape them off with electrical tape.
Right.
If you're a little worried about that or something.
I sleep. Electric tape.
At the end of the day, it depends on the customer. Like for me, it's an axe, and I like when my axes are pretty, but I prefer when my axes work good as opposed to that's kind of the most important thing.
Yeah. I prefer. That's why I prefer using that wheel there because it is awkward to hold it. But I get a lot more control by doing that. Yeah. So that's why I usually.
Blank followed up said, I have a belt sander at home, but when I'm sharpening, I can't bring it with me. I'm guessing Dr. Blank is a mobile setup. Maybe I can use the Dremel I bought with diamond bits. A Dremel might work, but I'd be cautious about digging into the bevel. Yeah. I think it'd be harder to maintain that convex edge. I would either ask your customer if you could take the axe and bring it back. Yeah. Like most people don't need their axe tomorrow. They might need their kitchen knife tomorrow, but they don't need the axe back right away. Yeah. Or stick to the files. Like files are slow, but that's how all the old timers do it. They just use a file. Yeah. Okay, got a bunch more questions. Got to catch up a little bit. Thanks for your patience, everyone. D-Hop310 just says, I thought Naoto's face mask was a ponytail at first. He would look cool with a top knot. You've done that style, haven't you? You've had some pretty long hair before. I did. There are a few pictures on the website that I'm like, I gotta. On the Knifewear. I was so much more skinnier too, though. Like, just like the T-shirt I'm wearing medium, and I was wearing the small. Yeah, me too. I used to wear small Knifewear shirts. Yeah, I know. It was kind of like a belly shirt, but it fit well. Hey, we have the Nathan's photo right here. Oh yeah, that's an old one. I don't think it can. I don't think the webcam's gonna go with it. Nah. We'll bring it up some other time. Yeah. Yeah, the long blonde hair. Yeah, long hair with the punk metal. Yeah. Good times. Corey Phillips, great question here. Corey, so he was asking about more general questions. Yeah. And any questions you folks have, just let us have it. Okay, so I learned how to sharpen through Knifewear videos, mostly Naoto, and can get my knives pretty sharp, enough to cut receipt paper effortlessly, but not sharp enough to shave. And he continues it. On my arm is what he was using as a sharpness test. What do you think? You should be able to say shave a little bit with the kitchen knives. I wouldn't get your kitchen knives as smooth as a straight razors though, because the I'll come to the point when I'm finishing the axes as well. Different purposes, different type of edges. Especially the straight razors and kitchen knives, they work quite a bit different in terms of the how. So there are like for my opinion, there are three different types of edges. One, axe. It is to split. The edges should be sharp enough to get in, but the thickness and the how it tapers should just follow through and make them to split much easier. Second type is the other knives like kitchen knives and pocket knives. When you're using those kitchen knives, pocket knives, the way in which that you use is this sliding action. Say when you're skinning an animal, you do this sliding action. When you're slicing a sashimi, you do those sliding action. That's what these knives are meant for, and that's what you should be making your edges for as well. Then there is a blade for shaving, or there are the shaving and so shaving, chisel, and like a lot of woodworking, like a planing. That's the third type of blade. What is the big difference is that those blades, you are cutting, the blade is parallel to the object you're cutting, and it goes this way instead of sliding action, right? So those blades like these ones needs to be as smooth as silk,
as smooth as a glass, because if you leave any those toothiness, that will work as like a fork on your face, and you just scratch it up.
You want the smoothest, because you're not cutting with a straight razor. I don't like slide the razor like I would a kitchen knife, because then you'll cut the shit out of your face.
You just push it,
forcing it through.
Yeah, like this way, right?
Yeah. So you want the thinnest, smoothest
as possible. Like plane blades. If you leave the plane blades to a little bit more, say a 1,000 grit or 2,000 grits and stuff like that, when you try to get the plain, like very thin piece of wood out of the plane, 1,000 grit wouldn't do it, because what edge will look like is like a those mandolin blades with the teeth. So you do this, you get like almost like a julienne of the wood, which is not ideal, right? So that's the difference. So when I finish my kitchen knives at a 4,000 grit, I get the edge that's, if I do it on my arm test, it cuts hair, but it's hard. It hurts because I leave these teeth on purpose a little bit so that it grabs onto the food a little bit. So it cuts hair. It's thin enough, but it leaves a little bit of toothiness so that sometimes when I look at my arm and I can see tiny bit of blood.
Yeah, that's when you're testing straight razors. That's something you watch for. Sometimes it cuts the hair super well, but your skin's kind of like white and flaky afterwards, and that's a sign you need to refine your edge or strop more, because it's scraping as it's cutting.
So nice. In short, you don't have to make your kitchen knife as smooth as a straight razors.
Yeah.
I think that you shouldn't, because straight razors, again, or the plain blades, you will not going to hit an object vertically like a cutting board.
Yeah, it's not fighting against anything.
Exactly.
Kitchen knives and axes are constantly fighting against things. And plain blades and razors are just sailing through them and never having that impact.
Exactly. So something to think about when you're sharpening.
There was Yusik and Dr. Blank were really helpful in helping Corey troubleshoot a little bit, asking a lot about kind of deburring the knives and just refining the edge. And it sounds like Corey's on the right track. So he used a strop after finishing on the final stone. After an hour or so of use, my Takamura is now as sharp as what I can get my VG10 knife to. At the end of the day, like Naoto was saying, it's about a purpose-built edge and figuring out where that compromise is between durability and sharpness, right?
The deburring is definitely the one. Like my trick, really easiest way is really to have the jeans, and this is really easy way to deburr. For the kitchen knife purpose, it's really pretty good.
Yeah. And Yusik has a great point. Yusik does a lot of sharpening too, and has been doing for a lot of years. So as I worked on the bucket today, and it wasn't shaving in all spots along the edge, walked away for a bit. And came back and got it all but one small spot. And I think that's another good thing is don't like force it to work. If you're frustrated or you're struggling, just like set it down for a little while, use the knife, try sharpening again next weekend or tomorrow or whatever, and give yourself some time. Let me just scroll through, catch up with chat here. Blank says they're going to stick with the file. Dave Inspector says, Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And Blank feels that even with a toothy edge, when it's perfectly apexed, it will shave. Which, makes sense.
It's still shaved.
Yeah.
It's just it probably, again, it's rough. Like even, it probably thin enough to actually shave it. But
and that's a myth I wanted to talk a little bit about, because a lot of old timers, when you talk to them, they say, "Oh, this axe has to be shaving when you sharpen it." It can be shaving, but you put it through one log and it's going to lose that edge really quickly.
Again,
it's still going to be really sharp because it's an axe, but it's not like, maybe if you're a woodworker, you want your axes to shave, sure. But if you're chopping down trees or you're splitting, your axe doesn't need to shave.
Yeah,
it's fun if it does. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
And Tim Chan and Blank both said they're starting to run out of arm hair to test with. That's a problem with working at Kent of Inglewood, where you sharpen straight razors all day. My only advice is maybe alternate arms so you can let one grow back for a week, or start moving to your legs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think. Like when I sharpen my Yanagiba was for the sashimi. Yanagiba is like the very thin, long knife that I only use it for a like raw fish slicing, no bones, whatsoever. And the only part that touches on the cutting board is just a tiny tip of the knife. So when I do the sliding action like this, and the only part that touches on the cutting board is just about probably 2 inches at the tip. So I make my Yanagi like singing sharp. It's like 8,000, 10,000 grit stone. It just does it really, really well, right? But when I'm doing the deba, that needs to go through a little bit of harder bones and stuff, I finish at a little bit more coarser. Multi-purpose knife, I finish at like 4,000 grits and stuff like that. So, that's something that I have planned for. Best knife or best sharpening for. That's the one of the topics I like to actually get in when since all the setup is done. I would like to actually start talk about I have best, say it's really easy, best edge for tomatoes, best edge for this, that kind of stuff. And that would be my opinion base, but everyone has different opinions, and that's what's fun about sharpening. There is no definitive answer for a lot of stuff,
and you're always learning, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited to start using this axe that you're sharpening.
Yeah.
You want to carry on?
Yeah. So
now's a good moment while there's 18 people watching.
There you go.
Please like and subscribe to the video.
Yeah.
I know that's something you hear on every single YouTube channel, but the reason we say it is because we want this to be a part of our job so we can keep doing. Right now, Naoto and I get paid to make videos for YouTube, and it's really, really fun. But in order for us to be able to keep doing it, we need to kind of grow our fan base and prove to the big man upstairs, which is Kevin, that it's worth his time and money. So if you like and subscribe, that'll help us keep doing this for work, and we can make more and more content for you folks. Thank you very much. Oh, and to everyone that's already liked and subscribed, we really appreciate you. You're awesome, and you make this possible for us to do. So thank you very much. So what are you doing now, Naoto? Are you widening up that bevel, or are you just smoothing out the bumps?
I'm more like smoothing up the bumps, and it's almost good. I think, for this one, it doesn't have to get any farther than this one.
Yeah. So Yusik was saying that would be a great discussion, different edges for different purposes. I think maybe we should just talk about that next week.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really great
Well,
topic.
next week is the Easter, isn't it?
Oh yeah, next week's Easter. So yeah, we'll let's do that in 2 weeks then. We're gonna take a break next week, folks. We're gonna take Friday off, and we'll come back. We'll come back for next week and do some.
See that the little
do some more sharpening.
Little like that. Little bit of announcement. The some super exciting news. we're getting the new line of knives from Sakai Kikumori, forged by and sharpened by a team of young blacksmiths and sharpener in Tosa, who we can't really say their names because they're by the request, which is fair. But the blacksmith is a guy who used to actually work for us.
Yeah.
I actually knew him. He came to Canada as using a working holiday visa, and he was fresh out of the we call it the special high school. So special high school in Japan has the 6-year program. So you do a lot of, and he was doing the metallurgy, and he wanted to become blacksmith. And he decided right after his school, he decided to come to Canada and found Knifewear and worked Knifewear and decided he wanted to become a blacksmith.
That's I'm super excited for these. I never got to work with I never got to work with him, but I'm excited to have a knife from an ex-Knifewear employee.
I will. So we're probably gonna get them. We're gonna get the some Deba and Yanagiba, which it's pretty cool. But those two are super great up and coming blacksmith and sharpeners. So that I'm very excited about them. They're a little bit younger than I am, but they've been working in the industry for quite a while, and yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so happy that we can have, especially his knife in our shop. That's something that
It's been like 10 years since he kind of left Knifewear and started his journey to become a blacksmith.
Yeah.
It's also just exciting to get to be involved in some of the up and coming blacksmiths. Some of the young, like all the super old established guys are really cool and all have these great stories. But it's also nice to be kind of involved in the cutting edge, if you will, of the knife making world.
Yeah. Especially when the we know him quite a bit, and we have his bass guitar kicking around at the Calgary shop.
You used to get a discount
when you slept the guitar.
Too many people played like Smoke on the Water and shit like that. So, David Spector says, if you run an arm hair, use thigh and chest hair. You got it, David.
Yep.
Some great discussion going on in chat, which I won't interrupt or anything, but I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Corey Phillips says, I'll keep practicing. Thanks for the help, everyone. A lot of friendly people in chat helping Corey out. And I'm glad to see this community growing. I got a message. I think we got a comment from blank yesterday that I just responded to today about whether or not we can start a Knifewear Discord. I'm new to the whole Discord thing, but I want to learn more about it. So if anybody has questions about starting that, we'd really like to, or has information about starting that, we'd really like to kind of grow our community space and have a good space where all you folks can connect on a regular basis. So if you guys would like to see a Knifewear Discord, please just let us know in the chat or comment on the video later. And if you have any advice on starting a Discord, my email is nathan@knifewear.com, and you are welcome to send me anything helpful you have or any feedback you have on the show.
Okay. While he was talking, I kind of started grabbing a handheld stone like this. This is what I always do at the end. I often start from the 220 or the super coarse green wheel, and I don't have to, but often I finish with the little bit more finer stone, because what happens is that those coarse wheel will leave a little bit more deep scratches. For axe is fine, but sometimes I want to make it look a little bit more prettier, so I go a little bit finer and take all the scratches.
It's not like you're going to be getting like a Kasumi polish on yours. Like you're not worried about that with axes, because it's going to get fucking ruined after 5 minutes anyways. Yeah. But it is nice to have a pretty axe. Like, yes, these axes work a lot better than the stuff from the hardware store, but they also look nicer, and that's part of the reason I like them.
Yeah, so I usually like these handheld stones. I use it for blending those like little lines, like connecting these dots together. Yeah, making that
Corey said. Corey followed up and also said, would you say someone like Takamura
Mhm.
takes the out-of-the-box edge to a higher grit than 6,000, or is that just a reflection of his sharpening mastery? And I'm sure Naoto has some really great information on that, but some of our viewers, specifically Dr. Blank and Yusek, are saying kind of like people get a little too hung up on like getting to the finest grit possible and that equaling super, super sharp, when a lot of it comes down to technique and how you finish the edge and blade geometry.
Deburring and stuff like that, geometry, that's definitely. Believe it or not, Takamura-san finishes his edge with the 2500 grit wheel. So the 2500, like 2500 grit wheel, that will give it equivalent faster. When those wheels are spinning, it gives you a little bit more finer feel than actual, say, 2500 grit. So it would probably feel like a 4000. But he finishes most of his knives at 2500 grit wheel. So that kind of, but his knives, the out of box edge is as silky as like
stupid.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like I suck at sharpening.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I should just give up now.
Yeah.
David Spector, good question, says, if all your knives are sharpened well, could you maintain those with, say, only a 5,000, like only a fine-ish stone?
You could. You may have to sharpen or touch it up on the 5,000 slightly more often than you do it with the like 1,000. But you can definitely. Some carbon steel knives or some SLD, the VS1 steels. Some of the knives actually brings edge back as you use them too.
Really?
Yeah. So there is some theories, some. I don't think it's been discussed like a lot in North America. And like again, I don't spend much time in other forums and stuff like that. But the information I got from the Masashi Yamamoto-san, no, not Yamamoto-san, Masashi Fujiwara-san, the sharpening guru, what he was saying is that the carbon steel knives, especially like white carbon steel, that is a little bit more prone to a rusting or prone to oxidizing. These oxidation or creating a little bit of patina will make the edge. It makes basically a micro chips again.
And that maintains a bit of toothiness.
Yeah, and sometimes like I do have my Fujiwara. I don't have Maboroshi, but I do have the Shiji line with the white number 1 carbon steel, and I feel that sometimes too when I'm actually using the Fujiwara. And like feel like it's starting to lose its edge. Then I switch my knife because I am privileged enough to have a few more knives kicking around
than the average knife.
Average knife, yeah. So I use those, and when I'm like feel like because my Fujiwara is Santoku, I'm like I'm just cutting up the for salads and stuff like that. Grab that, and I feel sometimes it becomes slightly sharper than I remember. And then I remember what the Masashi Fujiwara-san is saying. Oh, yeah,
that's
right.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, water from the, just regular tap water has like chloride or, some like other minerals. And that can actually create tiny bit of a toothiness back on it.
So we got some good feedback on the Discord idea. Tim Chan says, Knifewear Discord would be a good place for video topic suggestions. I think that would be great. We'd love to have kind of an open forum because at the end of the day, we want to create content people want to watch. And I'm sure everybody's going to want different types of content. So having a place where you guys can give us ideas and maybe even vote on those ideas and tell us what you want to see first. Because we've got a million ideas and only so much time in the day or in a week to shoot them. That would be awesome. So I think that would be a good use. Blank says it would be a nice, good place to geek out about knives in general. Plus, people could ask and answer questions and stuff. A few folks who aren't familiar with Discord, I'm one of them.
I'm not either.
So, but all of my like siblings and friends who are much more hip and technologically
advanced,
not fucking forest people, are fans. So I'll definitely give it a try. Grant just had some good feedback. So says, tell Kevin the videos and blogs are useful in terms of generating interest in the company and products. Well, thank you, Grant. We will pass that on. I don't think he's watching. He's ice fishing this weekend. And Fighting Usyk says, we'll check out the Discord, but encourage us to consider forums like KKF just to get more exposure. Yeah, Usyk, I got your email last weekend, and sorry I took so long to respond to it, but I will check that out next week. I've got some free time in the office next week, so I'll have a look. And Grant says, the mix of Chris and Kevin videos and this Nathan and Naoto videos is really fun and informative. Different perspectives and personalities is great. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, we try to bring a variety of approaches. Some people like Chris and Kevin want the more kind of straightforward approach, and some people really want to nerd out like Naoto and myself and get really technical. Yep. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying all of it. Yeah.
Some people may get tired of just watching just us, or just watching Kevin.
Yeah.
And, Chris. So.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah, variety.
Grant, that's correct. Kevin is planking right now. He just texted me a photo, actually.
Oh, yeah?
They caught a fairly large pike.
Nice.
It's, I don't know, maybe 20 pounds. I don't know. How heavy is that?
Probably about 15 pounds.
Okay. 15 pounds.
Yeah, probably about 15 pounds. It's like the length of, it's like 3/4 of the length of his friend, so pretty good. And then... Blank, we got one more question that says, just do you try to go parallel with the edge with the handheld stone? Like following, I guess, that curvature of the edge, I'm guessing?
This parallel as this?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is my motion. I usually, after I grind my bevel down, I do this way and a little bit this way too. It really doesn't matter from this point, because I have already made the edge profile or edge geometry as I want this axe to be. Of course, when I want to make this axe a like mallet-ish or splitting, I will make this part a lot thicker so that it gets in sharp enough to actually do the initial cut into the object that you're splitting, but it has enough thickness that actually splits. Instead, this one, it's really nice, thin grind. It's it's not the thinnest, but when you try to say get it into the whole trunk of the wood,
you can put it into trunk too.
Yeah, it's just going to get stuck and it's not going to split, right? So that's the different type of edges that you want. So when you best way is to, when you bring your axes, when you try to sharpen them, when you bring your axes to get it sharpened by someone else, explain what you want, what you were doing with it, right? That's really the big thing. If you're just casually use it at the campsite, just tell them, yeah, I'm just bringing it to my car camping.
Yeah, right.
And for just firewood. Oh yeah, I buy like the firewood that's already quartered.
Yeah.
And then you need this type of edge.
Yeah, to make kindling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for those people like, oh no, I got a lot of chunks in my truck, then different type of edge.
Totally.
Right? Like Justin is looking at it.
Yeah.
he probably has a lot of chunks.
Yeah, we're joined by Justin today. Justin's part of the warehouse crew, and he's hanging out and having a beer.
Yeah.
But Justin is far more outdoors than either of us.
Yeah.
He hunts and fishes, and
yeah.
You do like fly fishing tours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody's in the Alberta area and wants to learn how to fly fish, Justin's your man.
Yeah. So something like this. This is the I could probably call it done in terms of the geometry as well as the fineness. If I were to sharpen it if this was for a customer sharpening, I would do a little bit more nicer finish. I often use a handheld stone from the Moritaka-san or the Takeda-san to finish the bevel.
Yeah.
That kind of blends the scratches quite well.
Mm-hmm.
But geometry and how it's done, this should be pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
A couple of people are saying Blank and Craig saying, I love the Friday video. I'll be sad not being able to watch next week. Well, Blank, I know most of us have the day off. We're not allowed to work stats if we're on the office team. It's a stat holiday in Alberta. Although I think my spouse is off on Monday, so I might actually work Friday. So I might just set up like a webcam in my living room and do some sharpening. So if you guys want to see me sharpen some, I don't know, some carving knives or my straight razor or anything like that.
Straight razor. He's really good at the shaving himself too.
Yeah, if I have the time on Friday, maybe I'll do a little impromptu episode on Friday in the afternoon. So if you guys want to see that, if there's something you want to see, I think Naoto's going to be off that day, but I might be available. So let me know what you guys want to watch. David Spector, I love this. The sharpening is so enjoyable. I find myself wanting to buy knives because I want to sharpen them.
Yeah,
I like that.
You know, that's totally a legit, because that's what I did with the latest purchase for the All Sakai 240 mil, and I was so tempted. And one of the reasons is that I got involved in actually not creating, but comes up with a little bit of ideas of what the knife should be, but as well as because of that, I wanted to feel how the bevel is, and I wanted to actually sharpen them how they sharpen, how the knife gets sharpened on the stones that I have. So I haven't touched them yet because they are really sharp. They are super sharp, and
you just got to use the knife a lot so you can sharpen.
I do use them a lot these days. Like that became my my go-to now. I keep my the Masashi Sanzei Kuroshu a little bit aside, as they became a little bit more like my special day knife.
Yeah, you're supposed to. I have that too.
Yeah.
I have my beater knives and then my it's Saturday and I'm making something fancy knife.
Only downside to Masashi Kuroshu is that his Damascus, the black Damascus finish, is done by forging. It's not done by acid or anything like that. So he forged into that kind of shape and takes enough scale off so that shows that the Damascus finish, right? But because of that, the Damascus finish is rough. And when I'm actually cutting on the cutting board like this way, it grates my knuckle pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I can't use that knife for a very long period of time, where Sekai O Kurochi, although it's Kurochi, it's not as rough.
Oh,
so it is rough, but it's not as rough as the Kuroshu. So I can use them for quite lengthy time.
Nice. I am just going to step away for a second. And Blank says, have you guys heard of Baryonyx? They make stones, I think based in America, and use it confirmed, Maine or Vermont. I mentioned yesterday I had a 60 grit silicone carbide on the way from them. You familiar with that? Baryonyx?
No.
Okay.
Is that the stone maker?
Yeah, it's Yusik saying I have a Manticore and Benjamin. I'm guessing those are the names of stones. The owner is a great guy. I think he's in Maine or Vermont. Interesting. Well, I'm curious. I'm curious about that. Well, do you want to show us how that axe is shaping up?
Yeah, I'm just cutting up the little paper right here. So yeah, I often do a little test on the tomato test, and it doesn't, it's sharp enough to cut the papers or cut the tomatoes edgewise. It should be pretty good. Also, again, what you want to think about when you're sharpening a axe is that this geometry, right? How thick, how thin, where it should be. This one here is a half carpentry axe. So what you want to do is to get the feather sticks and stuff like that as well. So the edge should be as smooth to cut into the wood. And also, it should be pretty thin as well. But this one here, pretty well made axe. It's one of those drop forged axe as well. The sharpening job, the initial sharpening job, is slightly asymmetrical. So it's got a little bit more convex on this way, and then slightly. It doesn't matter as much, but
Is that just how it was forged?
yeah,
they like those Wetterlings doesn't make axes anymore, but when they were around, they made some really great, sturdy, robust axes.
Yeah.
And at a really good price point. They were never like the most polished, pristine, like compared to some of the makers out there. But I got to visit their factory one time, and they could make an axe head in like under 5 minutes.
They're a drop forge, right? Boom,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah,
boom. Right?
yeah. So they have sort of like dies that help them shape.
Yeah.
It's not 100% quite like drop forging, but it's definitely like in that realm.
Yeah.
Basically.
I've seen some of the we have a pruning shears, and that maker does the drop.
Yeah, they have a lot of
forge.
dies that help them shape
exactly.
Yeah. So Yusik is saying Benjamin is the owner of Baryonyx, very knowledgeable. It is important to remember that his main background is in simpler knives and brush and forestry tools. Yeah, a lot of people have different perspectives based on kind of their backgrounds.
Yeah.
Lots of good messages in chat about those.
Yeah.
Craig's Kitchen rocks. So Craig, I understand you're friends with our buddy Nick. I was just texting with Nick yesterday, Skinner, who has South Mountain Forge. And you guys want to buy some really crazy, like classic American style 1850s Bowies. Nick makes some really cool rustic knives out in the East Coast. But anyways, Craig says, I bought an Olsakai Shirochi 240, and I can't get over how well it cuts. Like no other Gyuto I own.
That's why I was so happy to be able to work with that maker. I mean, the forging is done by the Tanaka-san, and we know it's well forged. But the sharpening, the Maruyama-san, incredible sharpener. He's only been a professional knife sharpening business for 3 to 4 years, and he's all by himself now. Yeah. No, he's got a pretty young guy actually started to work under him, but he's pretty self-sufficient and very, very good. I'm so happy to be actually being able to work with him. He seems like he loves unique T-shirts, so we need to actually send him some T-shirts.
Yeah. Well, we got some new T-shirt designs coming.
Nice.
I know Chris and Mason have been hard at work on that. They're gonna do some pertaining to the show. I've been trying to get them to do a Miami Vice logo, but it says Knifewear for the summer, so hopefully they'll make that.
You want to switch the spot?
I want to do some sharpening. So this guy's all done, right?
Yeah, this one's done.
So what should I sharpen? I might talk a little more about blade shapes and stuff. So this is my gets hot under there. So this is my Wetterlings Forest axe. The only reason I don't have any of the Halteforce axes that we sell at Kent is because I loaded up on axes when Kent first opened, and so I have a pretty good collection. Thank you. So a lot of my kind of functional camping axes are from Wetterlings, but it's pretty much all the same principles. I will be getting a splitting axe from Halteforce probably in the next couple of months because I need one to do some splitting this summer. So this guy's a forest axe. This is I think 26-inch handle. Maybe it might be 28. I don't 100% recall. But it's your very traditional axe shape. It's got kind of a straight top on the head. Comes down. Doesn't have like a beard like a carpentry axe or a broad axe will, but it does scoop down a little bit here. And so generally when you see that slightly broader rounded edge, that is either a felling axe where you're chopping sideways into a tree, or it's going to be like a multi-purpose axe like a forest axe. So this guy's sort of a smaller felling axe that's also fine for splitting some stuff. It's basically my everyday. I have done a lot of splitting with it. As you'll see, splitting is a little bit hard on these guys. We've got a little bit of damage up here and a bit of superficial damage down here. Nothing to like write home about per se, but it can wear down the axe over time. So this summer I'm going to get more of a dedicated splitting axe, and this will be more of just a good camp axe. Anyways, when you've got this style of curved blade and you're sharpening it, you want to make sure that you maintain this. Oh, thanks, Naoto. You want to make sure you maintain that same sort of convex edge that Naoto was talking about earlier. You can adjust it. You can thin it out. You can make it thicker if you prefer. But in addition to maintaining the convexity of that edge, you also want to maintain the profile of the blade. Same as when you're sharpening a gyuto or a nikiri or any kitchen knife, you want to keep a similar shape to how the axe was originally designed. Now, if you're sharpening an old axe that you found at like a garage sale and it's super beat to shit, maybe even sharpened poorly, you might not have this nice kind of gradual curve. It might be flattened out. Somebody might have sharpened the corners off too much and it might be really round. But generally you want something that's got sort of a high point, not quite in the middle. And that's where it's going to bite into the tree when you're cutting sideways. And then you want the blade to kind of gradually curve away because you want the whole thing to bite into the wood, but you don't want it all to hit at once like you do with, say, a splitting axe. So generally, you're going to find this sort of midpoint on the head where it's going to strike into the wood, into the side of the tree, and you're going to draw a line straight up from there. And that's about where the high point is going to sit on your bevel, and then it's going to just curve away from there. And because you've got more material down here near the chin of the axe, you're going to have a little more of a downward slope on this side. So if you don't have an axe that's got that nice curve, you're going to want to try to bring that back when you do sharpen it. If you're doing some restoration, you can even use a Sharpie to draw your desired profile on the axe. This one's in pretty good shape. It's just got a tiny little ding on it. So I'm just going to show some basic kind of handwork on the axe. I'm going to do pretty similar to how Naoto was doing it before. I'm going to start by testing out this sample stone that we've got. We're looking to get our own line of stones at Kent of Inglewood. So we've got this kind of rough and fine grit stone here. Oh, the mic, thank you. We've got this kind of rough and fine grit combo stone here. I'm going to try this out, but I'm really excited to try out the new Sewer Hero whetstones. These guys are super, super cool. So I do things a little differently than Naoto. I'm not super, I don't do that Takeda style sharpening on the bevel a lot. And I have really sliced the shit out of myself sharpening axes before, just from doing it this way. I've kind of got my thumb. So I tend to go from behind the edge, like so, you can see. So my hands are out of the way. It's not that what Naoto is doing is wrong, just different approaches. Naoto, I think, is much better practiced at that style of sharpening, but also when you're out camping and you're in the wilderness, whether you're alone or you're with somebody, safety is your number one concern. We have some friends that do a survival course in the Alberta area, just near Cochrane, I believe. And the number one lesson they teach you is that when you're in the outdoors, you're trying to prevent a first aid scenario. You're always thinking about, how am I going to get hurt? How can I not get hurt? How can I avoid that? So for me, often when I'm tuning up an axe, it's kind of on the go, or it's around the fire, maybe having a couple of beers. So especially if you've got any sort of alcohol in you, you want to take any precautions you can to not get injured. So for me, I put my hand behind the edge like so, and I just start grinding like so. And I like to do this setup where I've got the haft over my shoulder on the one side, because it allows me to see what I'm doing. And so you can kind of work up along the edge like this, and then you can slowly start to bring down the stone to kind of bring that bevel down a little bit. Again, as Naoto said, you don't want to just sharpen the edge of your axe, generally speaking. You want to work kind of this whole bevel so you maintain the shape of the bevel. I don't like the stone at all. It doesn't have any nice feedback. It just, is it really hard, or is it just?
The other side is pretty soft.
I'm gonna let it sit and soak a little bit, because it's. I'll give this hold the force one to try. Yeah, this one has a lot more feedback. You can immediately feel it grabbing onto the steel. And that, for me, when I sharpen, I'm no pro like Naoto, but I have sharpened hundreds of axes and a lot of outdoor tools. For me, it's a lot of it's about feel, and if a stone doesn't feel good to use, then I'm not generally super excited to use it.
You were at the top 5 or
think it was number 4.
Yeah, number 4.
That was a few years ago.
Yeah, when we did the sharpening competition, when the Shiba showed up.
Yeah.
And we asked him to just send whole
Like
20,
30,
identical,
yeah.
35, like 25 or 30 identical knives, and
Yeah.
we distributed all around the cities that we have shops, and
Blades
we
hadn't been
sharpened
thin
them.
yet, so we had a half hour to hot rod them,
Yeah,
polish them, and then put an edge on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got number 4. I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun, and we're hoping to do the same thing with the same knife, but we abused them because
Chip it.
Yeah, we I don't know, well, some of you may have seen, but we've been making videos of Mike abusing knives
Yeah.
on our YouTube channel, and basically how you chip your knife.
Yeah, so we use those competition knives as the sacrificial lambs
Yeah.
in that case.
Blank saying the good stuff. He never put too much thought into sharpening an axe. So.
Cool. Now here's the thing. You don't need to overthink it. We're getting pretty technical because, first of all, the axes we're sharpening are really nice. These are like $150 to $200 axes. Later on we'll pull out my Takeda axe. This is an axe made by Shosui Takeda. It's a really, really cool axe. But generally speaking, these are good axes, but they're not insane. But they're also not your garden variety, hardware store axes. So we do want to put a little more thought into how we're sharpening them. Axes require a lot less refinement than, kitchen knives or especially straight razors. But it is good if you're going to do a lot of axe sharpening to think about things like the profile and the blade geometry and how convex it is. The thinness that we're sharpening these to, this is a relatively hard Swedish steel. These are tempered to around 58, 59 Rockwell. So they're going to be able to hold a bit of a thinner edge. In turn, they're going to be a little more delicate. I mentioned that other one was used to cut a root, and so as it hit the ground, it chipped a little bit. That might not happen to a hardware store axe. Really depends on the make and the type of steel. But typically, these are capable of taking a finer edge than you would need to or want to put onto a hardware store axe. So I've got a burr sort of.
See the chat? Yeah, there's been quite a good chat going on. Blank is asking what steel is it?
Oh, that's a good question. It's been a while since we sold these. I think they use like a basic Sandvik steel. I know their steel. So Wetterlings was an axe maker. They had about, I think, 150 or so years of history. They recently shut down their factory because they were acquired by Hultafors and one of the other few remaining Swedish axe makers. They use a really kind of cool steel from Sandviken. They were actually only about 45 minutes or a half hour drive from Sandviken. So when Kevin and I got to visit them back in 2015, I think, maybe 2014, we flew to Sweden from Germany. We got picked up by the president of Wetterlings at the time. His name was Gabriel. Awesome guy, and his wife Lotta. Amazing people. And they took us to Sandviken, kind of, I think, 3-hour drive up from Stockholm. And we stayed there overnight, went to a nice restaurant, stayed in a hotel, had some nice Swedish whiskey, and then drove up to Sandviken the next morning pretty early. And yeah, it was really close to Sandviken, which is, if you know Sandvik Swedish steel, it's one of the two, I think, places in Sweden where they manufacture steel. Uddeholm and Sandviken.
If it's Sandvik, I would, it's a stainless. Is it stainless steel?
It's carbon steel.
It's carbon steel.
But so this is a little different from like the Sandvik steel that's used often for kitchen knives. It's recycled steel. Mm-hmm. So at the factory, they would take like offcuts and just like, just leftover materials from different factories and production, and they would recycle it, and then they would. The way he explained it, now there's a bit of a language barrier, but his English was pretty good. Basically, like they'd mash it all together and they'd combine it, and I don't know a ton about how steel's made, but they would test it and they would adjust the recipe as need be to get the hardness level that they wanted. What I liked about Wetterlings is they were a very green company. So they would use recycled steel. They would use induction heating. They powered a lot. They got a lot of their power from a water wheel next to their factory that had been there for like 150 years. So it's not like a really precise steel recipe like VG10 or Sandvik, I think 12C27 or whatever they use at Helle. But it is a good, reasonably hard Swedish carbon steel.
Nice. The Sandvik makes the 13C 13C26, I think 13C26 is a great stainless steel, and we used to have a 12C. We had a 13C26 for some the softer stainless steel knives. We used to have 12C27 for Sandvik. A mirror was made with 27. 12C27.
Right? Yeah, so this stove's a little better now that it's soaked. So I got a burr on the first side of the axe. There is a little chip in this guy. It should come out with sharpening. It's pretty minor. I'm not worried about it. If you have a big chip in your axe, you should definitely spend some time fixing it. But this is like the littlest ding, so I'm not super worried about it. Got any questions in the chat there? Are we doing good?
We're good, doing good. The Blank is saying some steel types 24C, 13C27.
Right.
I'm using this steel chart thing, and I think it was 13C26 was the Sandvik steel, similar to Woodhome AEL.
So this little guy actually raises a burr pretty quick. It just doesn't feel very nice.
Well, the sample?
Yeah. This feels, I don't know, gross.
Yeah, we have 3 different samples. That's one of the one that's pretty soft. 2 of them have been tested at the stores now. Yeah. So we're gonna.
Some good technical language for you. It feels gross, so I don't like it. So I'm looking at my edge. Like it looks pretty good. It's quite thin, but that's fine because I'm using. Again, I'm going to be adding a splitting axe to my collection, and I keep it relatively convex. If you're like a competition lumberjack and you literally participate in the Lumberjack Olympics, you're often going to sharpen out this area more, and you'll see like a really pronounced kind of wear pattern that's almost like I guess it's an oval basically, but like whatever you call an oval with a pointed end. And you see this sort of like really thinned out area, and they will thin their axe edge out like crazy because they're first of all super good at what they're doing, and they're speed felling. So they're just trying to get that tree down as quick as possible. I don't do that. I keep it more robust because I'm an amateur and I want my axe to be a lot more resilient than that, yet fairly sharp. If you look at the edge, it's pretty thin as far as axes go. You're not going to see like a hardware store axe sharpened to that kind of thinness because it's just not going to hold the edge. And that's really the advantage of having a higher quality axe, is that it's going to hold its edge a lot longer. You're not going to be sharpening them nearly as often.
The good question on the Facebook, asking the just sharpening technique. I guess the direction across and not in circles.
Yeah, I just go like this along the edge because I don't know, it's easy when I'm lazy. Some people do circles. They tell you have to do circles, or you have to push, or you have to pull. My philosophy of sharpening, and it could be totally off base, but my philosophy is that you're trying to basically just shape the edge to get the shape that's going to do the job you want, whether it's convex or concave or whatever. How you get there, to me, doesn't matter super seriously when you're sharpening an axe, because you're just trying to remove metal, right? You're not shaving. You're not developing this like super fine, precise edge. Maybe if you're woodworking with your axe, woodwork is not an area that I have a lot of expertise yet. Hope to learn more. But to me, the direction I go in has never affected the quality of edge that I can get. I'm sure some people will disagree, but it's never really been an issue for me. I've always been able to get a sharp edge on my axe regardless of the technique I'm using, as long as the end result is the same.
Yeah, the direction shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Good comments from a Damon Spector. Now he wants an axe. His wife is gonna use it on him in his sleep probably. So
yeah, Damon, that's a tough one. Fortunately I got into axes before I got married, and it turned. I ended up marrying someone who's from BC, and they're very big fans of axes. And I've kind of even it's funny because they were cool with the idea that I was really into axes and knives when we started dating, but over the last few years. They've got just as in, like, they grew up in BC, so lots of camping and stuff. And I brought home a Hele limited edition knife that we got that we're launching soon. Brought that home last night to take some Instagram photos of. And Kaylin opened it up and immediately was like, we need to buy this. Like, I don't know. I don't even care if you want it. I want to buy this knife. And which I'm glad, because I really wanted to buy it, but I don't need another Hele knife right now. And Kaylin only has one, so.
Good understanding, because Damon's also saying if he go missing, Chris and Nathan have some blame to share.
I hope I hope the attorneys don't find this video. Yeah, it's that's the thing is I think if you have a partner that totally doesn't completely understand your obsession, hopefully they at least have an obsession that they spend a little too much money on, and maybe you can sort of relate it to their hobbies. but yeah, it can be tricky.
The fighting music, they're all pulling your system while camping using apps. Well, based on all my years, you guys will be doing an episode of fixing shit up handles soon.
Yeah, I would love to do a rehandling video. I think we'd probably put that on our other channel, like the Kent of Inglewood YouTube channel, which right now is a total mess. We haven't really put any love into it yet. But we will be, now that we've got, like, the company recently bought a fairly nice camera that shoots in 4K, and we've got decent microphones and some really nice LED lights. So we're getting to the point where we have enough gear that I can now shoot kind of whatever I want. So I will definitely do some rehandling. This guy's in pretty good shape, but we've actually got an axe at Kent of Inglewood, Calgary, very similar to this, where the handle had a defect. Hickory wood can have a slight defect, and it got trashed pretty quickly. And I need to rehandle it. So I will definitely make a very in-depth video when I do that. When it comes to taking care of your axe handles, really, if you find an axe that's for the purpose you're using, designed for the purpose that you're using, it's generally not going to get trashed up as much as this, but it also depends on who's using it. Almost none of this damage whatsoever is from me. It's because people have used my axe either with or without my permission, and may or may not have had alcohol in their system, but weren't familiar with the things you should and shouldn't do with an axe. First and foremost, use a chopping stump or a chopping block. Having the axe or having the log at the appropriate height is safer. It's easier. It means your edge isn't going to get buried in the dirt and chipped. Spending some time when you're chopping to, like, really get your stance set up properly and figure out the correct distance where your axe is going to land is also really important, so you're not, like, over swinging. And then just taking some time and practicing it, right? Chopping wood, it's not a race. It's not it is a sport for some people, but it's not a sport. It's not really about how fast or aggressively you do it. It's about technique. An ounce of technique is worth every axe in the world, right? Like, if you have good technique, you can use just about any tool to get the job done. And then, yeah, just don't let other people use your axes unless you've really carefully drilled them on what they should and shouldn't do, because they'll mess it up. Even if you trust them, even if they're a great person, they will still mess up your axe if you don't train them properly.
Just quick comments. The Damon is joking about his wife. She says she's pretty. He says she's pretty cool.
That's good.
Okay.
You're a lucky man.
Chris from Facebook saying preview on Hella. I think it's Hella. Did you guys?
Hella, yeah.
Like recently, we just got
the new knife.
Do
you want to grab me? So this doesn't come out. This knife doesn't launch until about a week from now. Probably we're gonna launch it next Friday once the shops get it. But if you really want one, just email me, Nathan at Kent of Inglewood, and I can. Nathan at knifewear.com works too, and I can probably make sure that you get one. We have 3 going to Calgary, 4 going to Edmonton, 1 going to Vancouver, 1 going to Ottawa. So is that the Voog? Is that Chris Elter Voog?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think if I recall correctly, he's in Ottawa, but I could be mistaken. So this is starting last year. Helle started having special edition knives, and I actually got my hands on one of the special edition ones last year because we received them right when the lockdown happened. So they just sat in the warehouse for a while, and that was a really, really cool knife. This year they're talking about 2021 is kind of the year of new beginnings, and so they've called it the Helle Morgon, which means morning in Swedish. It's sort of in Norwegian, sort of the idea of like a new morning. So they've picked this really bright, beautiful yellow stitching and yellow leather to inlay in the handle. They've actually put a stamping in the shape or the imagery of a forest around the sheath, so that you get this sort of really beautiful imagery on the sheath, which I always appreciate their attention to detail. And then the blade, check that out. This thing's awesome. It's got just a slight drop on the tip there, which is just super, super cool. I think if you're going to cut apart some pike, this might do a really great job. Really nice kind of swept up tip there, a little bit longer, not like a skinning tip, more. I would really enjoy this for woodworking when I'm spoon carving. I like those kind of fine, really aggressive points. I really love Helle knives. I'm quite biased. I have several. But the belly of them is really great for hard kind of pushing work. The tips are really nice for fine work. Talking about making feather sticks and woodwork, spoon carving, really great for that. Great butchering knives too. I haven't gotten to hunting yet. Justin over there hunts. Do you have a Helle knife?
I have a boot bar and I have the less stroke.
Oh yeah, the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got 2 Helle knives and
I have one. I lost it.
Oh shit.
I dropped it in the river somewhere.
We'll have to get you a new one. But yeah, if you don't drop them in the river, they're really great for hunting as well. So yeah, really gorgeous knife, Helle Morgon. I think it's $210. This guy goes on sale next Friday. But if you really, really, really want one, let me know. Shoot me an email, and I'll make it happen for you.
Yeah, there's been good conversation going on. Pretty good.
Nice.
Someone's out there and realized that we have a Kent of Inglewood channel, so I just put the link down.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't judge this channel, guys. It sucks. It's it's just a mess. There's a couple straight razor videos from like back when I had short hair, like years ago. I think there's a really good video from Tiffany. I think that should be on there, making feather sticks. We will be uploading more videos there starting in the next few months. Once we get the Knifewear video train kind of rolling, we'll start doing more stuff for Kent of Inglewood. Let us know what you want to see. I'm thinking like some beard care, some shaving. Those are kind of our bread and butter, but also some outdoor stuff, probably some good camping videos. So if there's anything you guys want to see, let us know.
So how's the edge?
It's good. It's pretty nice and sharp. It's still got a tiny bit of a chip. I don't think you'll even be able to see it on camera, but it's pretty nice. I haven't deburred it or anything. Let me know what you think. We should talk about axe care sometime too.
Pretty good. Apparently, my voice is kind of hard to hear, so I am just going to.
Yeah, just yell.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's beautiful. It's actually done really well.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, there's
my indoor speaking voice is yelling, so Naoto just needs to get in the same habit. Yeah. So I'm trying to just maintain that same convex bevel, maintain the same kind of slightly curved profile that we have here. There's a bit of a burr, not a big deal on an axe. I would go as far as to say you don't have to deburr an axe unless you're going to do some carving with it. But I'm just going to use this stone just to clean up that profile a little bit. I really like this little superhero stone. It's a little weird to get used to holding it.
Yeah.
but once you find the right grip, it's really cool. And I like that it's got these curves on the ends too.
Yeah, it's a wedge shape.
Because then you can do
sharpen the.
But you can do serrated blades.
Serrated blades, yeah. That's what it's really for. You can bring it like some of the hunting knives. They do have both a straight edge and a tiny bit of a straighter part. You have the ropes and stuff like that.
Some have a gut hook too, like that inverse kind of blade.
Exactly.
You can get that to like.
That's why I wanted to bring that one in, because it really is very handy little tool.
Mm-hmm. Probably tune up a chainsaw.
For those who's interested in the hunting those outdoor knives, I have been looking at some of the knife makers in Japan and try to bring them just before the summer hits.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So there will be some hunting knife, pocket knives. I was looking at some of the pocket knives from the company called G Sakai, which it's pretty popular, famous company from the Seki. Probably the most popular, most well-known high-end pocket knife for the hunting knife company is called Rockstead, and those knives are great, but prices are anywhere from like $1,200 to like $3,000. They're beautiful, but it's not something that we can.
Yeah, don't drop those in a river.
Yeah, that's something that I'd be a little bit more. Yeah.
We do have some higher end hunting knives at Kent right now from my friend Chris Green. He's a Calgary-based blacksmith. He's just kind of up the road from here, actually, and he's a really cool guy as well. Maybe we'll get him on the show sometime. But they, even those are like, they're about $500. They're pretty fancy, but they're still attainable for a lot of folks. And yeah.
Yeah, the fighting music knows the Rockstead Speed. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. I've seen that in person in Osaka that carries Rockstead. It's great, but it's very hard in Japan, especially if you carry those blades that's longer than the 50 millimeters.
Yep.
Without any legit purpose, you get arrested very easily. So, yeah. Be careful when you ever go back to Japan for travel, and if you're so used to carrying pocket knives, don't do it.
No kidding.
Don't do it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
Hey, it's if you stab, it's enough to get into the guts.
Yeah.
Right.
Do some damage. So I mean, there's still a little bit of a burr on there, but it's an axe. I'm not gonna sweat it too much. Do we have any paper here? I can see if I've got it. Right there. Yeah. Oh, phone book paper. Whew. This stuff's tough. Which way does the grain go? With the letters or against the letters? Okay. Yeah, that's an important thing to know when you're cutting paper. Usually it depends, but usually if you have like something that opens like a newspaper, the grain goes down, right? Like top to bottom.
Which ones? Sorry?
Like newspaper, grain runs.
It depends.
Okay, yeah.
It depends. The
Anyways,
Metro and the Metro and others have different secrets.
if you can figure out the grain of the paper, it gives you a much more accurate paper test.
Yeah.
Woo! It's not bad. The chip's there's still a tiny bit of a chip there, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. And then, yeah, again, not super pretty. I'm not super worried about the polish on the bevel. I could spend some time like refining that if I wanted to, just like maybe smooth that up a bit while I'm sitting around the fire. That's a great little activity while you're drinking a couple of beers. If you're not into spoon carving or feather sticking, but it's functional. As soon as I start whacking that into logs, it's going to get scuffed up anyways. So I'm pretty happy with that. Again, kept the bevel same shape. Really, I was just raising a burr and kind of removing a little bit of material along that bevel, and slowly working that chip out. There's a tiny bit left, but you almost can't see it.
Yep, some comments. Quite a few comments here.
What do we got?
At least some are pretty just like comments. you're getting into rifles, Nathan, stones like that are nice for polishing parts. I can't remember which stones we were using.
Hold on. Sean just texted me. Is that better, Sean? So Sean Coots, who, if you guys like watching video game content, our buddy Sean Coots actually streams on Twitch, and he's been giving us lots of great advice. Says, yeah, try turning the microphone straight up and make sure the button is on omnidirectional, which is the full circle. Yeah, Sean, this is our first time using this mic. Literally, I plugged it in like half an hour before we started. And just went for it, but now it's an omnidirectional, so hopefully that'll pick up Naoto.
It's directional, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Thanks, man. And then when it's just Naoto here, we'll put it on directional.
Yeah.
Turn the mic pointing up, like this. Oh.
Admiral Long Stash.
Yeah.
Says you can figure out the grain of paper by moving the ends together without folding. The easy way is with the grain difficult is against.
Yeah. The paper really fights you when you're cutting against the grain as opposed to cutting with the grain. Thanks for your advice, Sean.
Yeah.
Let me know if that's the right orientation.
Yeah, the fighting music. That's good actually. Moki. Yes, I am looking into that as well right now. We may probably get some Moki knives as well as the Jisakai and Seki kind of Tsune. That's what I am looking at right now. So yeah.
Oh, some people have been asking about the new Fujimoto line that's going to come out. I know we had some questions about that on Sharpening Night in Canada a few weeks ago. I have a sample that I'm going to be taking home to take some photos of, so it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited for it. But we'll show it off soon.
Yeah, it's the really good. It's a high carbon steel, white carbon number 2, black finish. But we decided to have a little bit nice handle on them. Clear lacquered oak. Octagon. It's been getting actually a lot more popular these days. So you see them on the other handles. Other knives, but the mono wood. Yeah. I actually have the same knife with the same handle. My Sakai always made with that one, right? And it does it such great.
Yeah. So this is my Takeda axe. This is from Shosuri Takeda, guy who makes the crazy thin kitchen knives. He, for a while, about like 5 or 6 years ago, was making axes. And we used to sell them at Kent of Inglewood. He says they're a pain in the ass to make, so we don't get them anymore. But I'm gonna try using this new stone on it. I don't like this at all. I don't think we should sell this stone now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a fan. But these new dual stones are really cool. And I actually like the length of this because when I'm using a circular stone, I don't feel safe sharpening towards the edge because I've cut myself pretty badly before. But having that extra bit of length from the Suihiro is like a little more reassuring.
And that Suihiro is great because you don't have to soak it in water.
Yeah.
And also
it's not so thirsty like those other stones.
And it can be actually used as an oil stone as well. Right.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed about the sample stone. This guy was super thirsty. I kept putting water on it and it like evaporated immediately. And this guy, I've used like a couple splashes, but that's it. I think they even said you can use spit if you're in a desperate situation.
Yeah.
Spit on it.
Yeah, well, if you're that desperate, I would probably save that.
Maybe just wait to sharpen.
Yeah. I
save your fluids.
Yeah, save your fluids because you're out of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like these though. I feel like I just finished my axe on the 300, and it was a really, really nice polish. Like the edge felt great. Honestly, I'm not going to take it any smoother than that, but I feel like the 1000 grit would be great for tuning up like your Scandi grind knives, like Hele or Mora knives in the field. I'm excited for this too because I got into spoon carving recently, and those curved knives are kind of a pain to sharpen. So having a stone with a curvature in it is going to be nice for that.
Okay, there are a few comments. Well, the Blanc says he has the circular stone like that, and it's not big fan of it, and those circles.
Which one do you have blank? Because they're not all created
for
equal.
polishing, but establishing an edge is next to impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tooth, yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible for that. They're great for maintaining an existing edge.
Yeah.
They are awful for doing repairs or thinning or anything like that.
The Craig's Kitchen Rocks asking anyone familiar with Takeda outdoor knives, and I'm going to take some.
Yeah. Now just gonna grab some stuff to show you. I'm gonna maybe hit this on the wheel real quick. It doesn't need much. Give us a sec, folks. I'm just gonna thin this guy out a little bit.
Well, he's showing that I have a few outdoor knives for you to kind of show you. Now we get only the one of a kind knives like these. Alchemy Super. The handle is done. This one is done by the Moriya-san. He is a custom knife maker. So Takeda-san makes the blades, and the Moriya-san makes the handle. So these ones are, I think, still not available fully because each one's so uniquely made. We just need to take picture of each one, so we don't have these available online yet. But we've chosen quite a few ones with the very unique. Like this one has a little bit of drop point shape to it. It's got a nice stick and a beautiful handle. I like to have them out pretty soon because the where we are, Calgary, is very, very dry. Have some like a little bit of weird handles like these guys here. He even has some weird materials like mammoth tusk. This is the liner lock. Yeah. These are plug-in knives. It's back lock, so it's pretty safe. So yeah, we have those ones kicking around. Again, each one needs to be photographed individually. So we haven't had this one out for the products yet, but they will be available soonish, hopefully. I think our photographer is coming in this weekend, so he'll be taking some photos of these products, hopefully. So yes.
It's so much more work to hot rod an action wheel than a knife. It's like so heavy. It fights a lot more than fitting out a Japanese kitchen knife.
So yeah, those knives, each one will be a photo taken and be up on the website as soon as they're available. We may have all of these at the Kent of Inglewood website rather than the Knifewear website. I have to double check, but those should be available pretty soon for you guys to look at. So hopefully, yeah, we're not just hiding it. want to make sure they have the particular Photoshop for each one, because you know you don't ever know what you're buying until.
Yeah, you don't want it to be like a lottery.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, those are pretty cool. His outdoor knives are really nice. They're really.
Yeah.
I know a couple people that have them. They said they're just like the craziest.
What I like about him is that he oftentimes those blacksmiths are good at making thicker knives or the thinner knives, and the Takeda-san does it really well on both, like thick and thin.
Yeah, he makes an incredible thin kitchen knife and an incredible axe too.
Yeah. Okay, fun. That's super thin for axe.
Yeah, it's also Algami Super,
Right.
which is just insane and stupid for an axe. But I want to get nice and thin because I'm going to be felling with this, so I want it to be
Right.
I want it to be a bit of a razor, not crazy thin.
Thing that you have to be a little bit careful when you're sharpening. Well, not sharpening. Well, Japanese axes sell because the handle is usually made with oak or some super soft wood. When you're in a climate zone like we are, it's super dry and it can actually shrink really easy. We've had a few instances that the handle shrunk so hard and fast that the head pulls off so fast and easy. So you have to.
Yeah, I had to rehang this one. I brought it down a bit and then wedged it.
Yeah.
And even then, it's still a bit loose.
Yeah. So it's something that you have to be a little bit more careful. I think some like candle wax and stuff like that can work pretty well as well. So yeah.
All right.
There
Not
you go.
perfect, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Hold on.
Finished up by hand.
Okay. Hold on. Where are we?
How's everybody doing? Hope they're enjoying a nice beverage or something. Coffee.
Where are we here? Like that one. They like some of the cool hunting knives.
Yeah, no kidding. Those are. I'm so tempted by those, especially like the pink one. Oh, so nice.
Tim is saying the solution to the humidity problem is to open the warehouse in Vancouver. That could be.
Just so you can have quicker access when we get the special stuff in.
I guess it kind of saves the shipping too a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, having to send everything from Vancouver to Calgary and then sometimes back to Vancouver.
Yeah. Adam Yobor,
Yarbo.
just joined and yes,
Hey, Adam.
it's Axe Today hat. Yes, it's Axe Day today.
Axe Day. We're both in the same location for once.
Yeah, we've been shooting the videos. We've been testing out new equipment, so you may notice that better equipment, better quality, camera quality, and the sound quality, hopefully.
Here, let's see if we can
Sorry,
pick up. Just gonna.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of sharpening ASMR. The relaxing sounds of knife sharpening.
We should make a video with sharpening.
Just like an ASMR channel.
Yeah.
Just.
No talking.
Yeah, just I feel like people would watch that.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of YouTube and I find a lot of obscure YouTube rabbit holes to go down. My new favorite one that we discovered this week is redneck Barbie Jeep racing, and it's at some like off-road festival, and it's just a bunch of drunk rednecks riding plastic Barbie Jeeps down like a fairly rocky and dangerous hill, and just getting destroyed. But it's a decent one to zone out on if you need some background noise.
That sounds like the American version of the cheese roll.
Yeah, it's similar, definitely similar, much more American. Yeah, so I'm just I got the shape of the bevel with the wheel. I'm just straightening the edge out. I want a less convex edge on this axe. This Takeda axe is more sharpened the Takeda way, more of kind of like a chisel grind, as people like to say, or a straight grind. So I'm just now refining that. I'm not super worried about prettying up the edge because it's going to take a while. Might try to get some of the blemishes out of there, but I'm mostly just kind of flattening that edge out, trying to bring out some of the speed bumps, and raise a nice burr on that with a 300 grit edge. Although I am very tempted to make this shiny. Maybe I'll take some tan paper to it over the weekend and make it really crazy.
Sean is saying the new Axe Day is just as awesome as the new Knife Day. Yes, I think so too.
Is this Sean Coots?
Yeah, Sean Coots.
Yeah, Sean Coots is a nationally or internationally, you have to correct me, Sean, but I think he said internationally ranked axe thrower. So he knows a thing or two about axes. He's usually sharpening them a bit differently. We might have to have Sean on sometime to talk about throwing axe sharpening because it's very different from what we're doing today. But it's cool stuff. He did a live video with me for Kent of Inglewood sometime last summer, just talking about axe throwing in general, and like the techniques and the history of it and stuff. And he's actually written a really good blog that's on the Kent of Inglewood website. You guys should check out about axe throwing. But yeah, new Axe Day. I mean, I'm pretty biased because I've spent the last like 7 years working at Kent of Inglewood, and I almost get more excited about new Axe Day. It's because you feel really powerful when you hold a new axe. What's up?
But if you had a mic here, that would be probably good.
Oh yeah,
like just
not above my head.
no. Just in the future reference, because if it's just like
yeah, right.
Right. Like,
oh, yeah, you're saying in between us.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
That'll probably be better.
Yeah.
In the future, some comments. Yusik is saying Ottawa friction holder maybe an interest. I will have to take a look into that. Friction holders, folders, and some of the kinds are a little bit sometimes hard to get into Canada.
Yeah, we've had some issues.
We had some issues. The Canada Border Service Agency confiscated some of our shipment.
Did they just take them? They didn't send them back? Oh, those. I don't want to disparage them because they're essential to get
they do
all of our products across.
But they do what they have to do. So
yeah, they're just following the goofy laws. I get it.
Graham Henrik saying such a great way to end the week.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
It's honestly, it's a great way for us to end the week too. I don't know about you, Naoto, but I look forward to the last 2 hours of my last day of the week. Is just hanging out and talking about sharpening with all of you folks. So this is as exciting, if not more exciting for me than it is for everyone watching.
Yep.
Glad you guys are enjoying it. Like I said, let us know what other content you want to see. We're going to be shooting a lot more shooting a lot more recorded videos and continually finding ways to improve our live content. So yeah, we got these new webcams. We got a new mic. Kevin and Chris both got the same gear this week. Vancouver is going to get it next week. So, let us know how else we can improve.
We're going to today. We shot the how to fix your bent knife video. We're planning on doing the full chip repair knife sharpening video, recorded version soon as well.
Yeah, probably 2 or so weeks from now.
Yeah, that will actually, we're probably going to use the whole wheel actions and stuff, one of those things that involves the fast forward motion.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So that'll be fun. We want to make it as, as we don't want to make the video as long as 10, 15, although I know my sharpening video is
I think they can be 20 or 30 minutes long. I mean, the old ones are pretty long.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm done on the 300. This, like I said, axes, they don't need to go to 1,000 grit. It's a little excessive. I think this little 1,000 stone is great for tuning up your carving knives and your hunting knives. But fuck it. I mean, this is a Takeda axe. It's Algami Super. I should probably clean this thing up this week. Maybe take some Barkeeper's Friend to it. It's a little worse for wear.
Just so you know, blank, the bendy stick. The video involves the how to fix your knives using the bendy stick, as well as not using bendy stick.
Yes.
As well. So there's technique that I covered that, for those who, like 99% of people, 99.9% of people who don't have the bendy stick at home.
Every home needs a bendy stick.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
Yep. Little discipline stick too, right?
We use it however you like. But we talked about potentially selling these. So if anybody is interested in like if they would want to purchase a bendy stick, as we call it, let us know, because maybe we could order some from this person. Maybe we could get some locally made. I don't know. But yeah, it's a handy little tool.
Yeah. Awesome. It's about the 5:54.
Oh my God! Is it really?
We're having a lot of fun here today.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
It's great to have the two people actually doing stuff today too, right? So I spend about an hour sharpening, and
I just get jealous. I want to show off sometimes, and
yeah, right.
Yeah, I want to talk about a few different techniques, a few different styles of edge.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, next week it's a stat holiday in Alberta, so all the office staff are going to be off. I might be working, or I might just be bored. So if there's something you guys want to see, I might just do like a solo sharpening stream. I might just set up in my living room or somewhere and sharpen some of my outdoor knives, or possibly a straight razor, depending on what needs sharpening. So if you guys want to come hang out next Friday, I'll see if I'm available. Let me know what you want to see.
Other shows will be on the including a Kevin's and Lordy's Japanese Knife 101. Can't remember the topic that they're going to talk about, but they changed the time. So
they really just kind of tell terrible jokes, and Lordy gets annoyed at Kevin, and I don't think they really cover any topics, do they? They're going to talk about Easter dinner next weekend.
Okay.
Because Easter's coming up. By the way, if you're in one of our cities, get your knife sharpened, because things get real crazy around Easter. So if you need a carving knife or you need to get your knife sharpened, do it now. Like, bring them in tomorrow, because it's going to get bananas over Easter weekend, and you're not going to be able to get them done in time for dinner. So get them done ahead of time. But yeah, if you need some tips for Easter dinner, that's what Kevin and Lordy are calling. And then I believe Owen texted me earlier, but they had a topic picked out for next week, Sharpening Night in Canada, and that was how to get rid of rust on your knives, which is also a recorded video we have coming out soon. We shot that with Mike on Wednesday in his kitchen. We got some new knife skills videos coming out with Mike in the next month or two. We've also got how to prevent rust on your knives.
I thought we did shoot the rust video before, but
we did a little bit of rust removal. Yeah, we do have one on the channel somewing with me. That one's about a year old now, I think.
One can say heat's down on you probably doing it.
Yeah.
Thing. Okay. I think this I don't get this one, but Fighting U6 says I have to step away for a few, but he does not want to see Nathan or me in Daisy Dukes.
Short shorts.
Short pants. Thank you. Some cultural thing.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call it cultural. It's a thing.
Okay. I guess it's my vocabulary.
So he doesn't want to see us.
No.
Is it backwards day?
Okay.
Yeah. I own shorts. I do not own short shorts. I don't particularly plan to own short shorts.
Jean shorts, I guess.
Although my thighs could probably use a good tan this summer, because they're usually pretty pasty.
Good and legit question from Peter, asking when we may be getting another shipment of natural stones. I have been hunting for the natural stones for a little while. It's a little bit more hard. I have been looking for some particular knife maker or the stone companies and stuff like that. There are still lots of stones around in Japan, despite the fact a lot of mountains, mines have been closed.
Have they been closed due to COVID, or is that just like a preservation thing?
Not a preservation. It's just they're done. Like a lot of mountains are done. They're just tired. They're sick of being in mountains, and they said, it's pretty
"Fuck it,
dangerous.
I'm retired from being a mountain."
It's pretty dangerous too, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, you're literally excavating the base of a mountain, right?
yeah, easiest. Well, I mean, like we could get stones around $500 to $800 retail. That's a little bit easier, but I was looking for a little bit more like they're more affordable, even smaller pieces. That makes it slightly more difficult. So stay tuned. Like we'll get them. Like we do still keep a good relationship with the those natural stone, even miners and the makers where we buy from too. So keep an eye out. And we can't. Sorry, I can't really be a very specific, but yeah, that's the best answer for you, Peter.
Check that out, Naoto.
Yeah, I know. I see it.
It's like the geometry is not perfect. I flattened out the chin a little bit on the one side, but it's pretty sharp.
I see.
Pretty sharp for an axe. It's I know I said earlier that shaving yourself with an axe is nonsense and nobody should do it, but hey, look at that.
Yeah.
It is still pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop doing that before I scalp my elbow.
Okay. Agreed. No.
You taking off, man?
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Tim Chan is asking, does anyone makes the synthetic finger stones?
Okay, these are technical questions. I'll jump behind the
Okay.
camera. You can get back on.
Okay.
I don't have any questions about natural stones or any of that business.
Yeah, the synthetic finger stones. Most people use the finger like stones that's like old. You can even break them to make finger stones, all from the stones that people sell. People don't really sell the small pieces of finger stone. Some companies do sell the abrasives. I've seen that Naniwa sells the abrasives as well, but it's not all the same because abrasive. What makes those sharpening stones and finger stone works really well is that the abrasive and also the adhesive, how soft and hard those adhesives are too, right? So that's another things to look for. So
Sean says going back to that was how the Daisy Dukes came up, was redneck Barbie G bracing is literally exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, it's exactly what you expect. There's no subtlety to it, and that's where the Daisy Dukes question came up because some of the guys wear proper protective gear and some of them wear
Daisy Dukes.
Daisy Dukes.
I see.
Kyle Bolden says, just want to say hello to everyone.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in, Kyle. And blank, or Dr. Blank, I should say, says, I suck at this. I wish I would have left the factory finish alone on this knife. Oh, no. What kind of situation are you getting into, Blank? Is there any way we can help? Let us know.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any other news? We've got a new blog on knifewear.com, which is all about tsujihikis, why you need one, why they're awesome. We've also got a new video about tsujihikis on the YouTube channel, so please go and watch that. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue to do this for work, which sounds awful privileged of us, but it's really, really fun and cool to be able to make YouTube content for a living. It's pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun. Yep. So the more you support us by simply liking and subscribing, it's really easy to do, and it keeps us going. Grant says, I need to bounce, but for sure I look forward to watching this video later. Tell Kevin the videos are a really great way to build a community. Thank you so much, Grant. We really appreciate that, and we will tell Kevin. And Kyle says, I do sandpaper instead of synthetic finger stones. It will be more consistent. I know, Naoto, you have some sort of thoughts on using sandpaper on bevels.
The sandpaper is great. If you make the bevel really nice and even, sandpaper could be an option. And I use my sandpapers to polish and go up to pretty fine grits and stuff like that. Oftentimes, though, like if you don't make your bevel as nice and even and using the sandpaper, sometimes it kind of hides the imperfections and stuff. So I would, when I do it, I try to make sure that the bevel is nice and even and there's not much scratch, like deeper scratches. But using the sandpaper for finish is not the wrong either. Like I often when it's like say non-bevel knives like Tojiro DP things like that. I often use the sandpaper to finish. Masashi Kemuri, I recently restored. I thin it and I took all the deeper scratches off with the stone, and I used the sandpaper. That was actually the combination of the sandpaper to polish, as well as the tiny finger stone to do a line of kasumi or some sort. So that was pretty good. But so there is no right or wrong. Probably wrong is just really try to hide the mistakes that you make. The best way is really to go back where you were and go from there. Because if you gouge them in one stone and try to hide them with the fingers, try to hide them, it's like terrible. So yeah.
Blank said they're working on sanding the blade of a pocket knife with mini sanding discs because the steel was too wear resistant to do it by hand. And that's the factory finish they were talking about. Yeah, I mean, try to go with the original grinding directions of the factory finish if you can.
Yeah.
I've had that happen with some straight razors sometimes where I've repaired rust and I've tried to get the mirror polish back. And it's often better to go for a consistent finish over a factory finish. Like if you can get it all to a decent 1000 grit buff, as long as it looks consistent, it's gonna look good. If there's spots that are rough and spots that are polished, it's tough.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Consistency is looks a lot better.
I agree. I recently finished the Haruyuki Kuma, and it's no bevels and stuff. Needed to thin quite a bit. So I grind it quite a bit, and the finish usually have the little buffing grain on it vertically. I actually took everything off by putting it on the stone and did the sandpaper to even it.
And Kyle and who's Adam both say one direction is critical for the most even finish. Always keep sanding in one direction. Tim Chan has a good question about straight razors. Straight razors, to tape or not to tape? For those of you that don't know, Tim's referring to taping the spine of a straight razor, which typically sets the angle on the razor. I've got some pretty strong opinions about this.
You jump in?
I've got a box of straight razors here, and I'll show you one.
Yeah.
Nope, those are scissors. All right, so basically, straight razors are a concave edge, and they flare out to a spine area, and the spine sets the angle. So when you're honing on a stone or you're stropping on leather, it sets the angle for you. Some people tape their straight razors to protect against what they call spine wear. Spine wear can be a thing. It can also be something where people kind of overthink what needs to happen to a straight razor. Spine wear is not an inherently bad thing. If you have a very beautiful Damascus straight razor, I sold a friend of mine a really gorgeous hand-folded straight razor, and when I hone his razor, I hone it with some tape because he wants to keep that Damascus pattern looking the same. Totally understandable. When you have a standard finished straight razor, don't tape it. You can. There's nothing wrong with it, but as you wear down the spine, you're going to wear down the blade, and you're going to wear it evenly. So the spine is always going to set a consistent angle. Say it's 12 degrees. If you wear both equally, you're always going to have a 12-degree edge, and your straight razor is always going to shave the same way. If you keep the spine the same thickness and you bring the edge back, over the course of a few decades, your angle is going to increase. Now, another good friend of mine, Hunter, who is one of the owners of the Portland Razor Co., he always tapes the spine of his razors unless asked otherwise. And his justification is that you're not going to change your edge angle by a very perceptible degree to be able to tell the difference in the edge. And I think he's totally right. He knows a ton about straight razors. He's a very smart person. And so at the end of the day, tape or don't tape. I personally don't tape. I'm not a fan. It also just kind of gets in the way. And if you're trying to hone a new edge, it can wear down and get messy. But if you feel like you want to tape for whatever reason that may be, it's not going to be detrimental to your straight razor. It's you just need to make that decision yourself.
All right, we can just wrap it up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning into the axe sharpening episode. I'm actually excited. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Thanks for fixing this, Naoto.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, that thing looks great.
Kyle is saying Nathan dropping knowledge. Can feel that passion.
Yeah, I don't have the same intensity maybe with some of the Japanese knife stuff. I love Japanese knives. I don't have that depth of knowledge that Naoto does, but when it comes to axes and straight razors, I'm you can get me talking and I won't shut up for hours. So be careful.
Alrighty. So seems like it's the it's time to wrap it
6
up.
o'clock, 6:10.
Yeah.
Whew.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone watching.
Yeah.
And hopefully, well, we won't be here next week, so hopefully
Yeah.
you guys have all the great Thanksgiving weekend, like long weekend.
Easter.
Easter, yeah.
Yeah. Same
Easter,
thing, basically.
Sorry, I've been-
Yeah. One of them's got more Jesus in it. I hope you like the new setup. Let us know, comment how you like the new cameras and the microphone. We're still messing around with lighting and kind of dialing everything in, getting it perfect, but hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you are not subscribed to our channel, subscribe to the channel, hit like on this video. It just takes you a second, and it really has a tangible effect on the number of views we get, and that has a knock-on effect on how much time we get to spend doing these. So, and thank you everyone for that already is tuned in, that already is subscribed, that already has liked the video. We seriously appreciate you showing up week after week and hanging out with us. It's as much fun for us as it is for everyone else. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Enjoy your week.